Hello, 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 sellers. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Come on in. Come on in. We are going to be talking about getting stuff sold faster on eBay without giving it away. That's always the fun part, right? So there's many ways to sell things faster. But how do, this is a question I've been getting a lot lately with eBay's fees recently going up is, well, Kathy, how do I keep my sales strong with the fees going up? And there's promoted listings. And the way they calculate promoted listings changed over the past years, where now it includes, if you're not aware of this, it includes sales tax. And if you're charging for shipping, it includes shipping. Um, and it's highly effective to use coupons, and it's highly effective to run sales for those of us with eBay stores. But when I run a sale, when I use coupons, it's coming out of me. So how do I sell on eBay? We love eBay. How do I sell on eBay? Perhaps use these various things like coupons and promoted listings and sale events, and that's going to be a personal choice. I do use all of them, but I use them in a very calculated manner. And if you watch my YouTubes and if you listen to my podcast, I talk a lot about promotions and using the promoted tools. So take a look at that because that'll help you. But how do I sell these things faster and keep my profits strong? Because we're running a business. And I say that whether you're selling part-time, whether you're selling full-time, whether you're a very casual seller, or whether with eBay and online selling is your full-time business. This is how you pay your mortgage. This is how you pay your bills. This is how you make your car payments, is keeping your sales strong and your profits strong is essential. And I bring that up. I remember being at a multi-channel e-commerce thing. Hi, Paula. Great to see you. Multi-channel e-commerce event. This is several years ago. And I was sitting with a friend who's a big Amazon seller. And there was a person presenting, and this person was talking about that they are $1 million seller. And my friend sitting next to me said, yes, but they are going to be going out of business pretty soon because they're $1 million seller. But with the way they run their business with buying inventory and ads, this person knew this person very well, said that this seller just didn't have the margins, didn't have the profits to sustain what they were doing. So the numbers sound great. $1 million seller, $500,000 seller, $300,000 seller. Aha. But what is your profit? How much are you bringing home? I always remember the thing. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you spend. And it's a huge topic. One of the shows I like watching, many of you that listen to me know this, is I love to watch Shark Tank. And one of the things they talk about a lot in Shark Tank is they expect the entrepreneurs that are presenting to know their numbers. My husband and I actually watch Shark Tank like we're watching a game show. So when after the entrepreneur will make their pitch, my husband and I will guess if they get a deal, sort of like watching Let's Make a Deal, door number 1, door number 2, if you remember that show. So we'll guess if they're going to get a deal and which shark they're going to get a deal from. So that's how we like to watch it. But one of the things that's talked about a lot is knowing your numbers. They want to know profits. They want to know inventory on hand. They want to know if they have any loans against the business. I mean, it's a really good show to watch. I mean, it's entertaining, but listen to the questions they're asking the entrepreneurs and think about your selling. So with eBay fees, with promoted listings, with using coupons, with using sales, one thing that I find super, super helpful, and all sellers have access to it, but I don't hear all sellers using it, is what is called the SKU, or custom label field. It is in the listing flow. You can access it from the app. You can also access it on your desktop, your laptop. And if you're looking at your active listings, it's also an area that can be inline edited. There's like a little pencil, you can click it and you can add things. The custom label SKU field is only seen by you, the seller, to make that clear, because sometimes I'll see people making notes about where the item is placed. And Sometimes they put it in the title, which is really not a good idea because titles are searched by Google search and eBay search, and it's gonna see a bunch of numbers and it has no idea what the numbers are about, so that's not a good place to put it. I do see some people putting it at the bottom of their description. Not the best, but I understand for some people that's the way, that's the way to do it. But really, your best place to put it is your custom label SKU field because only you see it. And now I can hear you thinking, well, Kathy, I mean, I might, be putting things in my custom SKU field, like where the item is. That's a big one that people put in there. Where is it? What shelf? What bin? What closet? It's in the garage. It's in the basement. What location is the item? And that's a really good thing to put. Hey, Paula, yeah, the field is awesome. It's a great place for listing notes because only you see it. The other thing that I really like to use it for, and this is how it ties in for keeping your profits, your earnings strong, is I put the month and the year I bought the item. So 2/23, 12/20, 6/19, 6/18, whatever it is. So I know the month and the year that I bought the item. I have a shorthand for where I bought the item. So for instance, like SA would be Salvation Army. SV might be Savers. If you have multiples, GW, Goodwill, GWB, Goodwill Bins. If you go to multiples, so maybe I go to multiple Savers or multiple Goodwill Bins, then you'll figure out an abbreviation to add to that, right? Perhaps an abbreviation of the street name or the town. If you did it on a trip, you'll find a way to notate that. But this is important, and I'll explain why. So the month, the year, where I bought it, and the price, and I round it up, right? So if it's 1937, I'll either round it down to 19 or I'll round it up to 20, okay? Yes, it is. It's a great mile maker. Yes, Paula, exactly right. So I'll do month and year, where I bought it, and the price. Now, the year and the price are super helpful when you're getting best offers. Also, if you're choosing whether to end the item and relist it using sell similar, or whether you just want to revise. Like if it's only been up for 3 or 4 months and I'm not getting any action, I might just revise the item rather than pulling it down. So I'll really take a look at my keywords. If it's been up for well over a year, then I might really consider pulling it down and then relisting it using sell similar. But when I do sell similar, and I have a whole YouTube on this, it's called, hang on a second, I was just looking at it. I think it's eBay listing Smackdown. Let me give you the correct title. Relisting versus sell similar. And I explain when and how to use the two different ways, because there is a time when you are going to want to do relist, and I explain why and when. So hang on a second. I should have had this pulled up, and I apologize. So it's called eBay Listing Smackdown, relist versus sell similar. So if you're not sure which way to, when you pull a listing down, which way to relist it, that YouTube will explain it for you. So having the date and the year helps me in knowing when to revise, when to pull it down, and then do a relist sell similar. But what I wanted to point out, and then also for best offer, because this actually just happened to me. So I listed an item. I just listed an item and I got a best offer, I think like within a day or two of it. It was a little low. Now, if the item had been up for, let's say 8 months, 9 months, maybe a year, I might have taken the offer because I'm still making a profit, but not as much as I thought I would make with this item. I just put it up. So I countered. And I will say, typically, when I do counter on things that are just recent, I'll just say, I just listed this. And if you can come up just a bit, it'll be yours, something like that. Be nice, be encouraging. So that I countered, and the person did say no. And for all I know, they're a reseller too. And there's nothing wrong with that. They saw the item, they're thinking, hey, let me see if I can get this for cheap. And I'm going to flip it. So that's another thing, if you don't know that, as far as sourcing, is to source off of eBay and flip it and resell it yourself. So it really helps when you get best offer. is that you don't have to pull out a spreadsheet, or however you're keeping track of your inventory. It's right there in the listing, and all I have to do is look at it. But this is what I wanted to point out because it's the thing they bring up in Shark Tank a lot is the process, your business process, and how we spend our time. Because whether you're part-time or full-time, there's only a certain amount of hours in the day. And I have a list of tasks that to do for my online selling is if I look at my paid and shipped, so then sort your paid and shipped and just scan through your SKU field maybe for a month or 2 months or 90 days. And this can be really helpful when you're planning your thrifting trips, yard sale trips, for people that do retail arbitrage. Perhaps you're flipping from Nordstrom Rack, or for TJ Maxx, or you're planning a trip like you typically go through this town on your way to visit your friend for a lunch. My niece gets together with friends of hers from high school a couple towns over every month. So on her way to the lunch is you look around, for thrift stores that you want to do either on your way to the lunch or on your way back, is sort your solds and look at where you bought it. Is it the Salvation Army? Is it the Goodwill bins? Was it that really great estate sale, which sadly, with an estate sale, it's only once. But with an estate sale, do you notice if you do buy a lot from estate sales, do you notice that one company runs estate sales where you get really good deals? Well, then I really want to watch that estate sale company. When I go to yard sales, do I see a trend where a certain neighborhood or a certain town I do really well? Well, then I really want to watch yard sales in that town when it's yard sale season. Same thing with TJ Maxx. Same thing with Nordstrom's. I had an Old Navy for a while, did a really cool, they literally had a clearance basement. It was a very large Old Navy here in New York City. And their basement, literally all the Old Navies, what it looked like, and chatting with salespeople was that the Old Navies all around New York City, because there's a bunch of them, would send their items to this Old Navy because it was a big Old Navy. And so the entire basement was clearance, and it was men's, women's, and kids. I mean, you got really good deals. They did that for about a year, and then they stopped. I was like, ah. But again, if it's something like that, because then it's about the use of my time. Now, I may love a certain store, and that's a different thing. I may just love this certain store, even though I maybe only get 1 or 2 things out of it. I love shopping there. I love going in. I love the neighborhood. That's fine. And if that's a choice that you make for your business, that's great. But you also, to maximize your sales, yes, coupons, right? Yes, I'm researching the price. Yes, I'm taking a look at running sales. Yes, I'm considering promoted listings, but also consider where you're sourcing. What area, what store, what location bears you the most fruit? And then you look at your calendar and however you do it. I'm a big fan of Google Calendar, everybody knows, but whatever you do, if you have an app that does your planning, whatever you do is that you put that in, that I'm going to go to that store once a month or every 2 months. And for those of you part-timers, maybe it's on my way to or from work. So once a week, I'm going to plan after work an hour at this place, or if it opens before I start work that I get in there. Okay. And then fine tuning it is knowing what the best day is. So for instance, my Old Navy clearance, talking to salespeople, it was a real pig in a poke. They said literally like sometimes they came in on Mondays, the big lots of clearance, sometimes later, but typically it was a weekday because they would prep for the weekend. So typically like a Wednesday, Thursday was the time to go into that store because the inventory is coming in, they're sorting it and putting it out on the floor, which they are not doing on Friday, Saturday, Sunday because they're so busy. So the best time to go there was a Wednesday, Thursday, and I put that into my calendar. I actually have an appointment in a couple of weeks on the Lower East Side, and there's some really good thrift stores in that neighborhood. So I have the appointments early in the morning, and I'm actually going to block out a couple of hours to do the stores in the area and see what I can find. So again, it's that whole thing of looking at with the SKU field, right? Your process. Where are you getting the fruit? It's like, planting like gardening. What seeds am I planting that are bearing me the best fruit. And then how can I replicate that store or whatever? How can I get that store, that location into my schedule? And then once it's in my schedule, this is why it's good to chat with the folks when you're there. Is there a day of the week that is best for that location? But this is ways to, in the same amount of time, right? Because I have a certain amount of time that I'm spending shopping for my inventory, whether it's in thrift stores, consignment stores, retail stores, sort of like an odd job lot kind of thing, is then mapping out which ones bear me the most fruit. And again, this is gonna vary because for one person, man, they're killing it at Savers, and when you go, you can't it's like, I don't know what they're doing, but when I go, it's terrible, and you might even chat with them about when they're going, but, like, for whatever reason, it's just not working for you, or maybe the one in your area just isn't that great, but man, the Goodwill bins are phenomenal, or your Goodwill bins are awful, but man, your Salvation Army's great. Or you know what? But your TJ Maxx rocks. I had a friend who used to kill it at TJ Maxx. And for sneakers, I mean, kill it at TJ Maxx, was making tons of money because their TJ Maxx was really good on sneakers. So it's that thing of, that's why the custom label field. Where are you getting your sales? Not Kathy's sales, Paula's sales. And then factoring that in, taking a look at it, and then working that into your schedule so that you make the best use of your time. And what that does is it's driving your sales up that you're getting on eBay. So in addition to sourcing in-demand inventory and tracking how well it's selling, because you want to keep your sales up and your profits up. Remember, again, it's not how much you sell, it's how much you make. What's going to help you with that is having what is called an optimized listing. An optimized listing is that the way your listing is set up on eBay, that you're giving eBay the information it needs to properly index your listing on the site and also show it to the people that are actively looking and shopping for that item. And the way you do that is to write an optimized listing. So it has the information in the listing. So when people are looking for the yellow shirt, or they love yellow, that then eBay can surface your yellow shirt or your yellow handbag or your yellow notebook or journal to that person because they're just searching all kinds of different yellow things. So eBay thinks, you know what, this person loves yellow. Let me show them Paula's yellow teddy bear or Kathy's yellow journal. So what's going to help you with that is to write really great listings. And I've got a free tip sheet for you. It's called Dominate eBay Search and Win More Sales. So just hop over to my website, ilovetobselling.com, and grab this. It'll help you. So keep track with your SKU field. Use my free guide, Dominate eBay Search and Win More Sales, and keep your sales strong and your profits strong all during the year. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.